So this is Lauren. Like I said, we've been working together for no, we're at 6 months.
I think we just hit 6 months.
Just hit
Yep.
6 months. And we've been working on a bunch of different things, whether it was more weight loss in the beginning, working on mindset changes, and then also working into more functional health sort of things, which is pretty exciting. So we're gonna talk to her about a bunch of different stuff that she's went through, and I think for a lot of us in this group that have tried other methods and as well have struggled with mindset, it's going to be a really good conversation for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So very first question I always ask, what type of things were you dealing with before we started?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I was dealing with was not sleeping well and headaches for sure. I would forget to eat all the time, or I would choose not to. Um, and then I also was always craving snacks all of the time.
I
And
almost forget that you had trouble sleeping. That feels like a
yeah,
lifetime ago.
it feels like it feels like just yesterday, actually, to me. It's hard to believe, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and how long were you dealing with those symptoms? Like the
Oh
struggling to
God.
sleep before?
I don't even remember. It's hard to remember when it all started because I feel like that's been me my whole life. I've
Mm-hmm.
never felt rested.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, where do you feel like those things have improved since we've kind of been working together?
Oh, absolutely. I think just being able to set a routine for myself
Hmm.
and finding something that I can stick to, that was the biggest hurdle. But yeah, absolutely.
Now, I really want to talk about NOOM because that was something I remember we talked about a lot, and you were showing me the stuff that they were, trying to educate, so to speak. What was your experience with that, or why did you choose NOOM at first?
I chose Noom because you're doing research online and you're going to get pop-up ads all over Facebook and everything on social media these days. So, but not only did I see ads for it online, but I also had friends and family members who had used Noom and had positive experiences and had lost weight with it. And to be totally honest, I lost weight at the beginning. I did. But something that you and I talk about a lot and something that you advocate for all the time is sustainability. And that was one thing that later on I found out the hard way. Noom was not sustainable. Um, what they, I feel like what they try to implement at the beginning is a good concept. It's just not well managed.
Hmm.
Um, they talk about changing your mindset and they talk about forming better habits and they actually, I can't speak to Noom now, but when I tried it a couple of years ago, I had the option to have a one-on-one coach. It was never face to face or texting, um, but you could message within the app, and they attempted to gear towards your individual plan. But as things progressed, you suddenly realize that you're stuck on a 1,200 calorie budget.
Oh,
Um, when yeah, when you they go by color codes, so they label foods as good or bad, even though they advocate that that's not what they're doing.
hmm.
But when you see a green food versus a red food, what do you think?
Right.
And and when your color codes aren't perfect that day, your coach has a tendency to show you exactly where you can improve, and it's not always positive. It kind of focuses in more on where your failures were, and it doesn't feel good. Um, it doesn't really help you remember that it's okay to not have a perfect day.
Hmm.
And that's when things started spiraling and I realized this isn't sustainable, and I started all my bad habits all over again.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to know, like, hey, like I could improve here, but if we don't have either ourselves or someone else pointing it out, like, yes, this area may not have improved 100 million%, but you're doing all these things way, way better than
Yeah,
where you were the first day,
right.
right? And it's like if you can't see those positives and those changes, and like you're, and if you're always focusing on the negative, you're like, I'm never getting better.
Yeah,
I'm not making any progress, and it's
yeah,
like, why bother continuing?
yep. That's how I
Yeah,
felt.
it's frustrating. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people, I'm sure you're not the only one who walked away from that feeling defeated instead of empowered.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad we got you out of that one.
me too.
um, how did you feel when I told you we were going to have to eat more food?
So I had actually been following you on Facebook for a little while. I knew that becoming a one-on-one client with you was going to mean eating more food, but it still came as a surprise, I think, more when I actually started doing it, that I was actually hungry for more food. I actually could eat more food and not gain weight. I think that's what surprised me the most.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
I like that you were stalking me and saw that. Like, I'm gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
That's funny. And I get it. Like, this is the same thing when I talk to other clients. They're kind of like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I guess I'll do it. And
Hmm.
it's cool to see like how your body responds so
Yeah.
well to that. That's
Yeah.
probably why we sleep better now, right?
Probably part of it. I'm sure it's a lot of different things. Yeah.
Yeah. What were you most surprised about? I'm sure you were maybe kind of surprised, but not really surprised about eating more because I talk about that a lot. Was there anything you were like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that?
Um, I would wake up hungry. I know that that sounds weird. But so when I would snack at
Mm-hmm.
night, I would end up getting way too full. I would wake up in the morning and I wasn't hungry for breakfast, and so I would either skip breakfast or I would eat garbage for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I finally started setting a routine, eating my meals and eating snacks, and I would wake up in the morning and I would want breakfast. And that was something that
Oh,
I had
I like,
never really,
sorry.
something that I had never really, it wasn't something I was used to.
Hmm. And I don't think, just so everyone knows here, it's not necessarily weird to wake up hungry. That's a
No,
good, yeah, I know for you, it's
yeah.
like, whoa, like it's weird when you're experiencing it and you weren't
Hmm.
sure it was going to happen or it never happened before. But for general, for everyone knows, it's really good thing when you wake up hungry. It means your metabolism is working, it's getting stronger. So we're like, yes, we want that to wake up hungry. Now,
Yeah.
if you're waking up starving, we know like, oh, okay, we're really under eating here. But that's good. Like it was a cool thing to happen.
Yeah, it really was.
Were there any big misconceptions that maybe you thought were true about weight loss and then working with me that you're like, whoa, like I thought that wasn't a thing, or you thought opposite of?
Um, I think I had a lot of the same misconceptions that most people have. I thought I had to cut back on carbs and I had to cut back on just eating the things that I wanted to eat.
Hmm.
I had labeled a lot of foods good and bad. Um, Granted, we know that there are foods that have more nutrition for you versus foods that have less nutrition, but that doesn't mean that I can't ever eat them and that I had to feel bad when I chose to eat them.
Right,
Um, so I was cutting out a lot of things that I probably didn't need to cut out.
right, right.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like how we talk about like the mindset of things. Like you know,
Mhm.
if you put a label, like kind of how Noom was doing too, this is good, this is bad, and then you eat that, and you're like, okay, I'm good when I eat the apple, and I'm bad when I have the piece of cake, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
it's not like we don't assign, morals to food and then to ourselves, because then you're thinking of yourself in the negative connotation.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's good. No, that's kind of like, the goal here is to take away like this is a, good bad label on yourself and, what you do. Like we don't want to associate that with food.
Yeah, I mean, I still struggle with it. It's never, I don't think it's ever going to be a perfect thing, but I'm definitely much better with it than I was
Mhm.
prior.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
What your mindset? I know we struggled a lot with all or nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I still struggle. Um, I'm really busy.
Hmm.
I travel a lot for work. It's hard for me to maintain a schedule when your schedule is changing and you have no control over the set schedule. Um, so I was struggling a lot with that. I was struggling a lot with spring versus summer or winter versus summer, like a lot of people do. The sun is finally starting to peek through again, and that helps boost the way that I feel. But I think that I was mainly struggling with just my self confidence and um, my doubting as to whether or not I could maintain any kind of a sustainable um, program just because everything that I had tried in the past had failed.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so now I know that it's okay to have a bad day, right? It's okay not to be perfect every single day. And one thing out of place isn't going to set me back to the beginning. And it's much easier now for me to just pick up where I left off tomorrow. It's been so much different.
Yeah, God, there are so many nuggets in there. Um, there are. Because if we keep expecting ourselves to show up at this level, that's not sustainable. And
Yeah.
then we have a bad day, a bad travel day, or let's say we didn't get all of our steps or we didn't get our water, and then we kind of go into like this self-sabotaging spiral where it's like the next day it's like, well, I messed up on Tuesday. What's the point of continuing this week, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when we could continue to make so much progress, even though we missed one little thing, out of the whole big picture of all of our habits. So I think that's been super helpful. And then another thing I remember, one of the things that we worked through was in the winter, like you said, where it's more challenging for you to reach your goals. I mean,
Hmm.
this past winter, we kept working at, gotten your steps in. You got a walking desk, oh, a treadmill for your desk.
Yep.
Yeah, a treadmill for your. They have like walking pads, a walking
Yeah.
pad for your home.
Uh-huh.
We focused on your food still. Like I think when we have this story of ourselves of I always fail, I always can do it for a couple months and then I can't continue. And we kind of start to like think that's the rest of our life when in reality it's just like that's the story for when you were doing things that didn't make sense for you. And
Yeah.
when we flipped the script and did sense that made sense for you, we got through the winter. Was it challenging? Of course. But we stopped trying to act like, not trying to act like, but stop believing that that was a story you had to live with forever. And you
Yeah.
got through it. And it was, I think, a really good experience for you to get through that. Like the first winter where it wasn't like total, absolute, everything goes out the window.
Yeah, the fact that you just said that, yeah, it really was. It was the first winter in a really long time where I didn't feel like everything went out the window. It felt, again, it wasn't perfect,
Hmm.
but it was it was much more progress than I had made a long time ago.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's cool because now you have like confidence, right? We struggle with confidence. You have that under your belt now. So now next winter comes around, it's like, okay, I've been through a tough winter where I still worked on myself and got through it. I can do it again.
Yeah. Now I know what I need to do.
Yeah. We have the treadmill, we have the food, we know it. We're making the right moves. It's good.
Yeah.
Cynthia, she said, this all sounds too familiar. Yeah, because I know Lauren's not the only one who deals with these things. That's why we're talking about it, because I've been there too. I mean, I've been there with a friend, like when we were like in high school, trying different things. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like a Wednesday, and I think I had a donut in like class, and I was like, well, what's the point? You know?
Oh no. Yeah,
Yeah, and she
exactly.
was like, it was one donut. I'm like, it's all ruined.
Yeah, and I still feel that way sometimes, and it's going to take that continuous daily just working at it and
Mhm.
reminding myself that it's not the end of the world and tomorrow's another day.
Right, right. And you will get used to it over time. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
muscle. You have to work it, flex it, and get used to your body being like, okay, it's okay. I can still go on and make progress.
Yep.
Cool. Let me fix this light because it's bugging the crap out of me. It's very finicky. 1 second. Aha. Well,
It looks better.
it's dead. I need new, as you can tell, I need some new equipment in here. Okay.
If it
Back.
makes you feel better, I spent about 10 minutes trying to get the lighting right here too, so
It's like a win-lose situation. There we go. Okay.
much better.
Okie doke. So, next thing, which I think is super important to talk about,
Mm-hmm.
there was one thing you could tell someone who is working on their journey, but just afraid to take the next step, whatever that is, to reach out to that coach, doesn't have to be me, to get a workout in, to
Mm-hmm.
drink more water. What would you tell them? And they're afraid.
Ask questions. Um, if you're having any kind of doubts, ask questions. Join your group. Join Facebook groups. Ask people who have the experience. Ask me. Um, you know, find out what is your best fit, and just remember that it's not like it's not a one size fits all kind of thing. Um, People who have asked me, my friends or my family, when I started telling them that I was working with a one-on-one coach, they were asking me questions and, do I like it? And I just reminded them that the first thing that you said to me when we had our first video is it's got to fit. It's got to make sense for you. It's got to make sense for me. It's got to be a relationship, and it's not a one size fits all. Something that you see one person doing doesn't necessarily mean that that's what has to work for you. And the only way that you are going to know what works best for you and find the things that you can do to not give up is to try and to ask questions.
Well said. That was good. That's true. Because
It's
you don't.
true, and that's how I felt, and that's why I started following you, and that's why I spent some time doing my research and making sure that it's really what I wanted to do.
Because it's a long, no matter what you're doing, it's a commitment and it's time and it's money and it's patience, and you can't
Mm-hmm.
just put that trust into anybody. You have to feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with them, which is also why, like on that call, I said, like you said, we have to make sure it makes sense because
Yeah.
we're working together so closely, and I want to always make sure it's the best experience for someone else,
Yeah.
and
And
not.
then I bawled my eyes out.
Yeah. We cried the call. We were sitting there crying, and I was like, does this mean we're working together? Because we're both crying. That was funny.
Yeah,
That was a good day. Um,
that was.
what was I gonna say. But thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. That was also just a very thoughtful response too. And I think for anyone who's unsure of what they want to do or what's the next step, I think asking questions and just trying to figure out what's the next best thing, that's very applicable and makes sense.
Mhm.
I do have a quick announcement, but I will give that after we thank Lauren. So Lauren, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
You're amazing. I always love talking to you, and I hope you guys got some really good insight on just like what it takes to get towards your goals, what things you have to be willing to work on, like your mind. And if you were thinking about doing Noom, then hopefully this will deter you. I'm all about deterring people from bad choices.
I
So
appreciate it.
nice. So I will let you go, but I hope you have a amazing night, and I'll probably talk to you in Voxer soon.
Probably. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here and catching this. Sorry the lighting was bothering you. I was trying to make it a good lighting experience, but that obviously did not work exactly as planned. But Lauren is amazing. I'm so happy we got to connect with her and talk to her. If you have follow-up questions, please feel free to DM me. You can drop them below. But the awesome thing I have going on right now, I'm not currently, one-on-one client spots are not open. But I do have a 60-minute deep dive call that I do have open. I'm taking on a couple more. Obviously, the end of the month is coming up, but April they are open fully for that. In that 60-minute call, you're going to get a starting nutrition plan. It is 100% catered to you because we're figuring out, okay, what are your health goals? What's your health history like? Where is your nutrition starting from? What makes sense for you? Like Lauren said, asking questions, that's what I'm doing in that 60-minute call. That call is just a one-time investment of 222, and you will get a starting nutrition plan in 3 to 5 areas that you can focus on starting right away. Feel free to DM me or just comment below for more details. It's pretty much all the details. But I'm super excited to connect with you guys, and I really, really hope that you got a lot of nuggets of information and things that will help motivate you on your journey today. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a great night.